Hey y'all, 𝗨𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁 here. Thanks so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at this CJRB Pyrite Light. This thing has been quite a little sensation lately. This is probably, well, almost certainly one of the best budget knives you can buy under 30 bucks. Right now you can buy this thing $29.99 on Amazon. Don't buy it from the CJRB site. No offense to CJRB, but they're still pricing it on the website at $39.99. I think they do that to push you to the other vendors. So Amazon, you can buy this all day long, $29.99. And we're going to take a look at the good, the bad, the ugly. But before we get started, as always, if you would, please go down here below and hit that subscription button, hit the notification bell, help your boy Fred out a little bit. If you got to bail out early, no problem. Throw your man a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, on the way out, throw a comment. Let me know what you like or don't like. I always appreciate hearing from you guys. All right, let's dive in, take a look. I always start with the box that it came in. This is a fingerprint magnet type box. Which side did I open on this thing here? Typical fashion. I mean, y'all have seen these probably a million times, these cool little zip-up pouches. I have yet to have someone tell me what is a good use for these pouches once you take your knife out of them. Let's close that up so I don't do myself any damage. Regular baggie, got a cool stuff sticker and a little CJRB microfiber cloth. Nice little fuzzy pouch there. Would certainly still like to find some good use. All I've heard so far is nobody else has any idea what to do with these things either after you take your knife out. Nobody stores their knife in that, it seems like. And I wouldn't want to anyhow. Be a pain in the rear end. You know, I've got knife cases that I use for that stuff. All right, let's take a quick peek at some size comps. This is what I would call kind of a Goldilocks EDC size of knife. We'll start out, as always, with our Benchmade friends here. Crooked River is much bigger, but you'll see this is pretty comparable in size, basically almost identical to the bugout regular. This is not a bugout mini. It looks like the bugout might be like a fraction of an inch shorter, actually, but for all intents and purposes, whoo, don't hurt yourself there. These are basically the same size knives. All right, your 𝗨𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁 person, then we always like to look at this compared to a PM2 and a 𝗨𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁. You can see it's obviously much shorter than the PM2, very comparable in size to the 𝗨𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁, even a little bit longer. Certainly has a longer blade on it, so that's pretty cool. You know, definitely this is your pocketable EDC. It's a light knife. That's what it's made for. So look at something a little more modern, perhaps. The 𝗕𝗲𝗄𝗏 Vision FG. Oh, hey, look at that. Didn't even mean to pick that one up, but might as well while we're here. It's somewhat comparable to the Factor. Even got a little bit longer blade than that one. But what was I trying to grab over here? Oh, this is my comparison knife. That's what I normally compare it to. So there you go. There's your comparison sizes. It is, you know, a perfect size knife. I'll bring up the specs. We'll run down those real quick. Just over 7.5 inches long. Blade comes in at 3.34 inches, just about 2.8 on the actual cutting length because of this forward finger choil here. Closed handles. Just under 4.25, give or take. Super thin, slicey blade. This starts out at 0.10, so definitely on the thin and slicey side. I'm going to tell you, when I measure with my calipers, it actually came in at 0.098, so even a little bit under that 0.10, which is nice. The behind the edge thickness, I'm sure I could probably measure this a couple of different places, around a 16 thousandths of an inch, which is, again, super slicey. Nice, tall, flat grind on this thing. Handle thickness, just under ½ inch. Black PVD coating on the blade. That's a nice thing. The website does claim this to be PVD coating on it. This is obviously FRN plastic with steel liners. So compared to your typical bugout, which is where most people will place this in their spectrum, this is a bit nicer because it doesn't hardly flex at all. You can really not flex it much at all because they put those steel liners underneath the plastic scales. Nothing wrong with that, but it still comes in very nice and lightweight, 2.83 ounces. Steel on this thing is AR-RPM9. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second when I get these specs out of the way. This is running on a button lock, a plunge lock type. CJRB does a great job with these. We'll look closer at that in a minute. As I mentioned, you can buy this all day for $29.99 on Amazon. Might even be able to find some special deals from time to time on that. All right, let's take a little bit of a closer look here. So we start with the pocket clip. Always excellent job on the pocket clip. This is obviously a true deep carry pocket clip. The clip is inset, countersunk down into the scales with flat screw heads. So excellent job on that. Easy to get in and out of the pants. Just super simple, lightweight steel. It's PVD coated. It is fully reversible. So nice job on the pocket clip there. No issues there. The hardware, T8s everywhere except for that pocket clip. Those screws are T6s. The scales, as I mentioned, FRN plastic over steel liners. You can see those steel liners in there. They're not milled out or anything, but I think they're thin enough, and you can see they're countersunk down into the scales, the FRN scales, which is really nice. It makes it look clean. You can't hardly see those liners at all, but definitely adds a lot of strength and stability. It feels solid in the hand for as light as it is. Standard kind of barrel spacers offset in the back there. Does have this little flat lanyard hole, which is fine enough with me because I don't put a lanyard on there. Probably be a little tricky for someone to get any kind of decent size lanyard strung through there, but I'm sure with a little bit of effort, maybe a tiny screwdriver, you could stick it through there and make that happen. Overall, it's a great size. So I have a size large glove. Choke back, you can see there's still a little bit of space left on that handle. This is very neutral and comfortable grip. Of course, with this forward finger choil, this thing is made to be used in this grip pretty much all day, which is how most people will use it. And in that case, any size hand is going to fit on this size. Again, very neutral handle. You can forward, reverse it. You can, excellent for draw cuts. They call this a Wharncliffe style blade. You know, I guess everybody has a slightly different definition. This definitely has a little bit of a curve in the belly, definitely has a little angle up here. To me, that's more of a sheep's footy style. So it's a sheep's cliff blade is what I'm going to call it. They call it Wharncliffe. However, that plunge lock is actually quite good. You can see it definitely drops shut, easy to flip in and out, and it's solid as can be. I blade whacked the heck out of this thing. And CJRB is known for building really good plunge locks that very seldom, I haven't seen any. I think there people have said that there may have been somebody who had one that they could break free. I've never seen it. And CJRB is well known. So this is a case where you can feel pretty comfortable with the button lock. But again, understand what this knife is. I mean, if you think you're going to buy a knife this thin and hard use it, I mean, what in the world do you think you're going to do with this knife? This is an ultralight knife with an ultra thin blade made to be thin and slicey. This is not for feather sticking. Well, actually, that's probably not true. You could probably do good feather sticking with it. It's not for batoning is what I really meant to say there, or any kind of serious hard use stuff. Definitely has a nice, good pokey blade, but that lockup is plenty solid on there. Again, I can't get this one to break free, and everybody else I've seen who's used these couldn't get it to break free. So I've yet to see anybody who has a problem there. Nice riding on bearings. Obviously, this thing, it swings pretty freely. You have to really get that button in there. Of course, now it's not swinging freely at all. So a little bit free. There you go. Again, decent bearings. Can you fail it? Yeah, I can fail it like that if you don't really put some rear end into it. It has a detent on this thing. It's okay, you know, for a plunge lock, because that's the only method of detent you have is the spring action against that plunge lock. That's not bad, y'all. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that for a plunge lock style button lock. And no worries. You know what? I have yet to ever think, oh, this is a weak detent, or I have a problem with launching that out into its lock position, no matter whether I'm front flipping it, back flipping it. Hell, you can even use the old button to flip it in and out with the button. So there you go. All solid all the way around. Let's talk about the ARRPM 9, CJRB on the front, ARRPM 9, and that tiny little writing down there. What this is, I actually watched a video from Laren Thomas and Knife Steel Nerds who was explaining what it is. This is a spray form of 9CR18 MOV, which in my little corner of the world, we tend to get a good number of knives in with 9CR18 MOV. It is a good stainless steel knife. The spray version of this that they're calling the ARRPM 9 has a little bit more toughness. So that was what Laren Thomas's findings was that he believed that this version of the 9CR18 probably a little bit tougher, and he stressed the word little bit. It's probably going to be a very small amount better than typical 9CR18. Otherwise, it's going to have the same exact edge retention and the same exact corrosion resistance. Of course, this is PVD coated, so it's even more resistant. It's already stainless, so you're not going to have to worry about corrosion on this thing, especially being PVD coated. And, you know, toughness is going to be decent, but I'm going to come back again and say, listen, y'all, if you buy a knife this size, shape, and thinness, how much toughness are you expecting out of it? Like, are you really going to use this as a pry bar? So for what it is, this is absolutely wonderful, in my opinion. It works great. The action is smooth. It is plenty drop shut. There's no blade play at lockup. Now, I will say this, because you have such a thin knife and such lightweight scales, you can bend it a little bit. It's not bouncing or moving inside the pivot area. It's just that this is a relatively thin steel against you know, relatively thin and lightweight steel liners over plastic scales. So there's no blade play, but the whole knife is just lightweight and thin, so it's going to flex a little bit. You just got to know what you're getting. You buy this, you know, for a reason, y'all, right? You buy it because it's super lightweight. It's very easy to carry. It's got a nice thin slicey blade. It's PVD coated. It's got all the wonderful things. It's a perfect size and shape and style. It's pokey and stabby, yet slicey, great for draw cuts. It's obviously going to be nice and sharp right out of the box. No issues there. Obviously, it'll cut paper. If you get a knife that won't cut paper, you're in trouble, right? How about some cardboard? Same thing. I am cutting through some tape here, so I'll probably gunk up my knife. But you can see this thing has no real issues working its way through that cardboard at all. Yeehaw for that. Did we get, man, actually, even going through that tape, you can see just a little bit of residue. So it actually does a pretty good job. And that PVD, that'll wipe off real quickly. A little bit of blade cleaner or alcohol wipes. So cutting, no issues. AR RPM 9 is going to be easy to resharpen, but obviously, you know, it's not going to hold an edge like an M390 or some other variation. But again, you know what you're getting. You've got a $30 knife, which is really well made. Got an excellent plunge lock, a nice thin slicey blade, PVD coated, neutral handle shape. The jimping is minimal, but it is decent and plenty good. It's got a great forward finger choil to choke up on it, which is the thing I like. So, what are the negatives to this knife? It's kind of hard to find any in light of what this is intended to be. You could say, well, the blade's too thin. Well, too thin for what? It's not too thin for me. I bought it because it was thin and I wanted a thin slicey blade. There's a little bit of flex in it. Well, what do you expect with an ultra lightweight knife with a thin blade? You know, even the plunge lock works great. The lockup is solid. It won't rock. There's no blade play, no pivot lash. Of course, there's no detent other than that the plunge lock itself. The scales, you know, I love the pattern. The texture on it's nice. It's visually appealing, but as others have also indicated, it doesn't really add a whole lot to the grippiness of the knife. So I guess maybe that would be a negative or an area they could improve upon this thing. It looks good, but, you know, it's not particularly grippy. They could certainly use a different pattern, a texture on here that might be a little bit more grippy. However, is that a problem in real world use? No, because when you're locked into these choils like that, this is solid. This is not coming out of your hand. It's not going to slip. Even when you're choked back here, that first finger choil dip right there still gives you a very solid feeling in the hand. And again, this is an ultralight knife with a thin slicey blade. This is made for delicate type work. So in that regard, there are no real negatives that I can come up with on this knife. So yeah, I could strongly recommend this and do strongly recommend it. For under 30 bucks, y'all, you'd be real hard pressed to find much better of a knife, you know, that's not somewhere in the world of clones or all the other types of knives we review. You know, some of those are pretty darn good too and come with, you know, maybe some better specs or issues on them. But in the world of real knives, man, you'll be hard-pressed to find any deal better than this and has this kind of quality at that kind of price. It's just too good of a deal to be true. I will put a link down below to where you can find this thing on Amazon. If you just want a nice shortcut on how to get there, that link will be an affiliate link, so I might get a penny or two out of that $30 purchase, but it certainly supports the channel, and I definitely do appreciate it. Otherwise, if you would please, again, go down below here, hit that subscribe notification bell. I do have a giveaway coming up here very soon, like in the next few videos. We're going to have to figure that out because we have now passed the 1,000 people mark. I wasn't expecting to get there that fast, but things have just worked out faster than I expected. So I'm going to come up with a pile of knives, and we're going to start giving them away to our subscribers. So you got to be a subscriber to win those knives. I want to give back to the people who have been supporting me. So become a subscriber. You'll be eligible to get one of those knives in the giveaway too. Otherwise, throw your boy a thumbs up if I did okay, thumbs down. Let me know what I did in the comments. I'd love to hear your comments, any feedback you have, any other experiences you might have had with this knife in particular. So let me know. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all as always, and I will talk to you again soon. Y'all have a great day.